On Monday Night Football is brought to you by your Toyota dealer and the 1990 Toyota Camry. Toyota, I love what you do for me.
Blue Monday, how I hate Blue Monday. Gotta work like a slave all day.
Mondays are traditionally the emotional low point of the week. But in 1970, ABC Sports joined forces with the National Football League and introduced professional football to primetime television. 2 decades later, Monday Night Football has emerged as a gridiron institution, postponing the Monday blues to Tuesday. Tonight, we're going to turn the cameras on one of the longest-running primetime shows in television history. For 20 years, Monday Night Football's innovations have set the standard for televised football. One of their firsts involved putting 3 announcers in the booth. We will meet Frank Gifford, Al Michaels, and Dan Deerdorf, the trio now responsible for entertaining and interpreting the games for us. We'll also review the rich 20-year history of this show. But first, let's start with the start, when Monday Night Football hits town. Before most of us have read the Saturday morning paper, the crew of Monday Night Football is already at work. Technical Director Joe Schiavo supervises the engineers and technical setup.
He wants Andy here with the handheld because he doesn't want this angle over this way. He wants the head-on angle with the collar. Anywhere in the East Coast, Midwest, we will come Saturday from New York. I'll come with a small crew. And my audio people, my 2 audio people, all the maintenance people that are involved with the truck, and other people that are here for the setup, and 3 drivers. And what we do basically is we park and power the trucks, fire them up so we're sure that we have power and our trucks are working. We unload everything that has to come off the trucks.
By Sunday morning, all 46 engineers have arrived to set up 15 cameras and dozens of microphones throughout the stadium. Most NFL stadiums are pre-wired for the basic camera and mic positions needed for a regular Sunday broadcast. Monday night's elaborate slow motion and replay coverage require a great deal of additional equipment. By the time most cameras are in place, Monday Night Football producer Ken Wolf and his production staff in New York have already spent 5 days developing the theme, open, and bumpers for the upcoming show.
What am I going to come on the air with? All right, you got Chicago, Philadelphia. It's a huge game. They're the obvious storylines. When you hit air at 9 o'clock Eastern time, you want the audience of X millions of people to see the show open, and you want to come up with something that's a little special, because Monday night is a little special. It's not just a Sunday game. There's an audience that's, yeah, you're football fans, and there's an audience that's beyond that. There are some women and some other sort of peripheral fans that don't normally watch. So you want to be entertaining, informative. You want to really get that balance.
How'd that work? Do it. Do it. Sure? Yeah, right. Oh, you burnt your finger. All right.
While the engineers assembled the broadcast booth, Monday night's announcers Frank Gifford, Al Michaels, and Dan Deerdorf spend Sunday afternoon watching football in their hotel rooms.
My father took me to a Dodger game. I was 5 years old, and we just happened to have seats about 3 or 4 rows back of what at that time was an open, exposed broadcast booth. And I saw Red Barber doing this game. And I was enraptured by the entire scene, looking at the greenery of Ebbets Field and just the whole atmosphere. And then to look down and see a man who got to see all of the games for free. I mean, he became my idol at that very instant. And I wanted to do that from that very moment on.
I know sports is a grind. Baseball had to be a grind on your personal life. Is this more of a grind, less of a grind?
I don't look at this as being a grind. I mean, here I am in my 40s doing exactly what I wanted to do from the time I was 5 years old, getting paid very well to announce sports on television, doing something that millions of people would die to do. I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation, but if there is such a thing and God wants to balance the scales in my next life, he's going to make me a cockroach in the Sudan or something, because this is pretty good. I don't look at it as a grind. This is a labor of love.
I hear you.
Does he hear me on the IFB, Scott?
Yeah.
He hears me on mic here?
Throughout the day Sunday, engineers continue to set up and check the technical equipment. With a Sunday afternoon doubleheader of football under their belts, Frank, Al, and Dan arrive at the stadium to watch Monday night's contestants practice under the lights.
Because I always thought that it took credentials such as catching passes, throwing passes, running with the ball. I mean, I never thought an old broken down tackle ever had a chance at this show.
You had quite a bit of experience already in St. Louis. You were working in broadcasting.
I had a lot of broadcasting experience, but I didn't really have what I consider to be a real marquee name. I mean, I was not a household name in America. One being an interior lineman and playing for a team as the St. Louis Cardinals that never really won a great deal. So I didn't think I had the marquee value that it took to be on Monday Night Football.
Are you a marquee name now?
Well, that part of it has changed. I mean, there's a certain recognition that comes with Monday Night Football. It's just part and parcel of the job. And you're right, I'm recognizable, but you know, I don't create a fuss. I'm not Robert Redford. What you do the rest of your life.
To be able to talk for 3.5 hours on these Monday night telecasts, each of the announcers must research the Monday night teams extensively. One of their favorite and most reliable sources are the players and coaches participating in that game.
We keep abreast of what's going on. We do a lot of reading. All of us have, of course, very intimate friends within the football structure itself. Coaches, players that I used to play with are now coaching. Bob Schnelker, the offensive coordinator up at Minnesota, and on like that. Dan is the same way. Al, through us and through the people that he knows, we have, I would say, contacts, maybe a crass way of putting it, but we know a lot of people in the game. But basically, it's keeping abreast of everything that happens.
And we got a little haze out there, too. I put 12 on line so I can check call-ins.
Sunday night's rehearsal includes 13 manned and 2 remote cameras, the entire video replay unit, various microphones, the blimp overhead, and all the personnel to operate this equipment. For Monday Night Football's director, Craig Janoff, the rehearsal provides a chance to test the cameras under lighting conditions similar to those he'll face the following night.
Nighttime, it's a little different. It's a little harder, actually, at night. Anytime you're shooting things at night, you can ask, the camera guys, you're dealing with light situations and how much light can get into a lens, and we like to run our games tight, and we start, getting into that problem because we don't have enough light like daytime.
And we'll do a complete setup Sunday. And Sunday night, we try to have a little bit of a dress rehearsal where everything has to be working. I don't leave here on Sunday until everything is working for Monday.
Once every camera, microphone, microwave transmitter, and tape machine is tested, the crew breaks until noon or 1 the following afternoon. We're going to take a slightly shorter break before rejoining the crew for game day and a look back at Monday Night Football's first 20 years. Nixon was in the White House, and our astronauts first landed on the moon. Also that year, the National Football League, under the guidance of Commissioner Pete Rozelle, began looking at ways to expand professional football's TV exposure. He shopped around the idea of a weeknight game to all 3 networks. Only the then struggling ABC was willing to take a chance on programming football in prime time. The president of ABC Sports, Roone Arledge, gambled on Monday night, and professional football moved into a new era.
And the ball game for the second half is underway as Jim Turner kicks off. It goes to Homer Jones. Homer takes it at the 6-yard line.
Monday Night Football debuted in Cleveland's Municipal Stadium on September 17, 1970. The Browns and New York Jets put on a memorable show full of big plays and plenty of scoring. When Jets quarterback Joe Namath threw a critical interception near the end of the game, his dejection was featured, and that type of drama would soon become the show's trademark. ABC Sports Senior Vice President of Production, Dennis Lewin, produced the replay unit on that first telecast.
And clearly, when Roone Arledge put the concept together, he went to a lot of different innovations. Clearly, the three people in the booth was different. Everybody at that point in time had been basically using two, which is still the case. And not only the idea of going to three rather than two, but the concept of who the three people were. You know, the first season, the play-by-play man was Keith Jackson, who to this day is as good a play-by-play man as there is in the business. And then he paired Howard Cosell with Don Meredith, which obviously was a stroke of genius. And it really created a whole new generation of fans at a time when pro football was about ready to take off.
28. O.J. Simpson gets the call. Ooh, look out. That's what they gotta do.
The show became a primetime showcase for many of the best football players of all time. But often the action on the field was overshadowed by the action in the announce booth.
Call it a night. The party's over.
Don Meredith's humorous observations and insight balanced Howard Cosell's intellectual and provocative manner. Humble Howard's tell it like it is style made him the target of fans in living rooms and bar rooms across the nation. Ex-New York Giant running back Frank Gifford replaced Keith Jackson after the first season and has announced Monday Night Football ever since.
Some people point to those early years as the glory years. Do you think of them as the glory years?
Well, I think it might be better stated, the insanity years. It was kind of a crazy atmosphere for many years in the booth, of course, with Howard and Don. I think probably that's what Roone Arledge wanted when he put the three guys together and decided he was going to try to make primetime football work along with Pete Rozelle. And what he did, he gave us a guy like a Cosell who, by and large, most of the country loved to hate. Whether they agreed or disagreed with him, it didn't matter. And a country boy like Don to throw barbs at him and let the air out of him a little bit. And I was there just to keep law and order.
Now, in the early years, there was some criticism that the three people in the announce booth overpowered the game.
I don't believe we ever overpowered the game. I never ever looked at it that way. I can't say that all of my colleagues have not looked at it. I mean, there was a time when the players were on strike and weren't even playing, and Howard wanted to do the game anyway. We had those kinds of situations. No. I have always felt, and I feel that today, we are very fortunate to be there. If we can add something to the entertainment, then we've done a good job.
This will be a 59-yard field goal. A lot of distance. Look at that. Look out. It's good!
See? He did it in college. He can do it here.
More often than not, individual players or plays stole the show. Like in November 1979, when Tony Franklin lifted the Philadelphia Eagles with a 59-yard field goal. 2 years later, in October of the '81 season, Detroit quarterback Greg Hipple found Leonard Thompson for a 94-yard touchdown pass.
That's it. You will not catch Thompson. Flag is down, by the way, in the end zone, and so is the quarterback, Hipple. Big opening.
By the time Dallas Cowboy running back Tony Dorsett sprinted 99 yards for a touchdown in 1983, the deteriorating chemistry between Gifford, Cosell, and Meredith completely dissolved.
It's hard to tell when the relationship, as you say, really broke down. Clearly, as the years wore on, its uniqueness wore off. And it was right for its time. It was clearly right in the early 1970s. It was a different approach to football. Whether that approach would work in the 1980s into the 1990s, I'm not sure that it would.
Speaking of color commentators.
Monday Night Football struggled through the early and mid-'80s, experimenting with various ex-jocks in search of another winning announce booth combination. The biggest attraction in '85 was the Chicago Bears. First on the Thursday night edition of Monday Monday Night Football, Jim McMahon came off the bench to throw 3 touchdown bombs and spark a win over the Vikings. Then in late October, the Bears made a 23-7 rout of Green Bay memorable by calling on 320-pound defensive tackle William Refrigerator Perry to bulldoze into the end zone from the fullback position. Finally, in early December, the Miami Dolphins spoiled the Bears' perfect season with a victory which was watched by more viewers than any Monday night game in history. In 1986, Frank Gifford moved back to color commentator where he'd begun his career. ABC's Al Michaels shifted from baseball to take over the play-by-play chores. The following year, the population of the announce team was back to 3, with the addition of another color man, Dan Deerdorf.
I think if there are 2 guys in the booth and they really don't blend and they don't have a lot of chemistry between them, that's a lot harder than working in a booth with 3.
Monday Night Football and technical innovations are synonymous. In their first year, 1970, they introduced a separate replay truck and more handheld cameras to capture the action on and off the field. They've standardized the Marketeer to shuttle and steady the camera for close-up shots. They pioneered the super slow-mo and reverse angle. They also beam a camera down from the blimp every game.
From the very beginning, we approached every Monday night technically also as if it were a Super Bowl. In the beginning, we had 8, 9, 10 cameras. Now we're up to 13. And the innovations that we've had through the years, whether it's our reverse angle cameras or even something as simple as golf carts on the sidelines and handheld cameras on the benches, have basically been emulated by everybody.
We've reached our own 2-minute warning. When we return, a typical game day for Monday Night Football.
It's rolling. Okay, we got about a minute there, fellas. I don't think nervous is the right word. You know, we get hyped up a little bit, but preparation in television network live sport is really the name of the game. 30 seconds. Take it to black, Joey.
I'm doing this 9 years as a TD, 9 seasons, 10 years, and I get nervous every Monday night. And when there's 30 seconds before air and we go to black, 30 seconds is like an eternity. I just want to get on the air. It takes me about 10 minutes to get into a flow. First 10 minutes again. I'm always nervous.
Stand by 81 machine. You cued 81?
It's a real kick getting in the truck on Monday night as you approach 9 o'clock and the adrenaline flows. And, you know, I played sports in school, and it's the closest thing to actually being involved in a game. And you know, when they threw the ball up for the jump ball at the beginning, it's a real turn on.
As we approach game time, 30 million Americans across the nation settle in to relax and be entertained. For the 75 men and women of Monday Night Football's crew, it's time to work.
Put 81 up on the line, track 81, please. Here we come.
By the time Monday Night Football serves up another helping of live gridiron action, the crew and announcers have already put in a full day's work. For the engineering crew, that means a series of equipment checks starting just after noon.
And Monday is usually a day where we come in usually in midday because we have a late start. And everything just sits and cooks. The reason for that is if we lose something, we have time to repair it for air. Because when we go on the air, we have to be 100%. And because it's Monday Night Football, and because it's a primetime show, they want everything working.
Around 4 o'clock, the cameramen meet with director Craig Janoff. In a glamorous setting deep under the stadium, he briefs them on that night's 2 teams and each camera assignment.
You're going to see buyers all day coming out of the backfield for a pass, okay? Toddley and Richie, you can keep an eye on that. But
about the time that meeting breaks up, Frank Gifford arrives to record his voice track for the show's open and various bumpers. Around 5:30, Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf arrive at the stadium and proceed onto the field to check any changes or updates that might have occurred with either team. Then, about an hour before game time, they join Frank Gifford in the booth and pre-record the open for that night's show.
Tonight they remain with the Rams, and who's the other undefeated girl? Giants. That's it.
Finally, the clock strikes 8 Central Time. The pre-recorded open rolls, and the show is underway. When Monday Night Football, the television broadcast, is ready for the game to begin, producer Ken Wolf alerts officials on the field.
40% of his kickoffs have resulted in touchbacks this season. That's a high figure. And this one is taken a yard deep by Gentry. And he comes out with it to the 18-yard line.
Do you at all get nervous? I mean, the other guys have been in the business a long time. Do you at all get nervous before each telecast?
No, I don't get nervous. I enjoy it. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. I've logged enough hours behind a microphone that I'm not intimidated by it. I have a lot of fun with it.
Last year, Monday Night Football finished 16th out of 104 primetime shows. Much of the success has been attributed to the relationship between Frank, Dan, and Al.
Well, you know, the first thing that has to happen, I think, or it'll never get off the ground, is that you have to like your compatriots in the booth. And we do genuinely like each other. We have fun away from the booth. We take a great deal of pride in doing what we do the right way. And I think that shows on the air. I do not think that you can put a good telecast on the air if there's any sort of animosity in the booth. Some people will say that kind of tension sparks a good telecast. I don't think so.
A happy marriage in the announce booth and the slickest coverage in the world can't overcome a boring football game. The ultimate success of Monday Night Football depends on the excitement of what's happening on the field.
Close games make for great productions, and unfortunately that's a bit of the nature of the business, although from week to week you approach each game the same, trying to do as professional and as innovative a job as you can. When you've got a game that comes down to the bitter end, it's something people watching, people are going to remember, and that's the nature of the business.
Honey, my publisher called today.
Joey.
By the time some of these Monday Night Football games are over, it's actually Tuesday morning football. After a post-game meal, the crew spends about 3 to 4 hours breaking down the equipment and cleaning up. And for the rest of the country, the conclusion of a Monday Night Football game officially ends the weekend. And then it's back to work, singing the Tuesday blues.